Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Munmun Bhattacharya, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's defence establishment shares more details of Operation Sindoor carried out by India to avenge the Pahalgam terror attack. Says over 100 terrorists were killed in Indian airstrikes under the operation. Indian Navy says after the Pahalgam terror attack, Navy's carrier, battle group, surface forces, submarines and aviation assets were in full combat readiness, and Navy is ready to respond decisively to any inimical action by Pakistan. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh terms Operation Sindoor as not just a military action but a symbol of India's political, social and strategic willpower. Fourth round of talks between the US and Iran on Tehran's nuclear program conclude in Oman. Iran's foreign minister calls them difficult after both sides dig in on red lines. A high-stakes development following the launch of Operation Sindoor, the Ministry of Defence held a joint press conference on Sunday to brief the nation on the operation's progress and strategic outlook. Addressing the media, DGMO Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai said that those strikes across the 9 terror hubs in POK and Pakistan left more than 100 terrorists killed.
Strikes across those 9 terror hubs left more than 100 terrorists killed, including high-value targets such as Yusuf Azhar, Abdul Malik Rauf and Mudassir Ahmed that were involved in the hijack of IC-814 and the Pulwama blast. The line of control was also violated soon after by Pakistan, and the erratic and rattled response of our enemy was apparent from the number of civilians, inhabited villages and religious sites such as Gurudwaras that were unfortunately hit by them, leading to a sad loss of lives. The Indian Air Force played a major part in these strikes by engaging some of these camps, and the Indian Navy provided wherewithal in terms of precision munitions.
And a correspondent who is covering that press briefing, Nanda Dagar, joins us now live from New Delhi. Nandita, India's defence establishment says India achieved its objectives set under Operation Sindoor and India is still in a combat situation. How do you put that into perspective for us?
Yes, that's right, Moon. This press conference of the DGMO actually clarified a lot of things. There was a lot of misinformation and rumor mongering that was going amongst the media, notwithstanding, of course, by the misinformation campaign by the Pakistanis in this age of social media, misinformation, disinformation through Twitter, fake messages, etc. So the 2 or 3 big takeaways from this press conference are that, first of all, India has given a message, very strong message to Pakistan that it cannot carry out inhuman, barbaric, heinous terrorist acts like 22nd April Pahalgam, where tourists are killed at point blank range anymore, never again. And anytime, anywhere, the Navy is forward deployed, it is in a forward deterrent posture, which means that it is ready to strike. And in fact, the Naval Operations Director General of the Navy today, Vice Admiral A.N. Pramod, he actually said these words, that we have the capability to strike Karachi. When he was asked that there was rumors that the Indian Navy struck Karachi, he made it clear. He said we have the capability to strike Karachi and we have all the capabilities. And similar sentiment was sounded by the Army as well as the Air Force, where they said that India has zero tolerance for terror, and that is what it has proven. Without targeting civilians, with India on the 7th of May only carried out deterrent and preemptive attacks against terrorist hubs, known terrorist infrastructure of terrorists which have been proscribed by the US as well as USA. You know, Bahawalpur and
Murid
Bahawalpur
ke.
and Murid ke. So India did not carry out any escalation. It was for Pakistan, which actually for the next 3 to 4 nights carried out aerial intrusions through unmanned aerial vehicles, combat vehicles, and carrying out cowardly acts against religious places of worship, civilian areas, schools, hospitals, like that. And therefore, the Indian Army, Navy, Air Force had to defend the nation. And therefore, the third thing that I would like to bring to your attention and through you to our audiences, international audiences of DD India Moon, is that the capability of the Indian Army, Air Force is now known by the Pakistanis. They know how outnumbered, outgunned, and how unmatched we are as far as their military capability is concerned, and how superior not just our air defense systems of the Air Force but also our aerial assets, which are surveillance and reconnaissance assets, are. Number 4 is to give proof to the world of the misinformation and propaganda of Pakistan. Certain photos and videos were shown of pinpoint precision targeting of the air bases of Pakistan, which were not targeted, remember, on the first night of Operation Sindoor on 7th of May. They were targeted on the 8th to 9th of May, when Pakistan carried out retaliatory, escalated, it climbed the escalatory ladder. And that was when India struck these air bases, the radar infrastructure, the hangars, the runway of Chaklala, places. Now just remember, Chaklala is Noor Khan. It is only 10 kilometers of Islamabad. What better statement of intent do you need of India's very strong political will to defend its people and to not tolerate any further terrorist attacks and aerial intrusions by drones by Pakistan. Also, number 4, the DGMO has admitted that according to intelligence sources, about 100 terrorists were killed in that first night of Operation Sindoor, when 9 known terrorist camps were targeted. I asked, they are also saying that the Army, Navy, Air Force all remain in a very vigilant posture, absolutely operationally ready to counter any misadventure by Pakistan. We are awaiting the Director General Military Operations to talks tomorrow afternoon, 12 noon Indian Standard Time. Of course, there has been an agreement which was reached yesterday, which came into effect at 5 p.m., 1700 hours Indian Standard Time, but it was again violated by Pakistan last night. That is the night of 10th to 11th of May, when we saw from 8 p.m. onwards the entire frontage of India's border, right from the LOC, Kupwara, Baramulla to south of Pir Panjal, Jammu, Rajouri, Poonch, Mender, Punjab, Gujarat, Rajasthan, the local towns and villages again saw these drone attacks, but all effectively neutralized. So the major takeaway is how Indian military is absolutely operationally no match for Pakistan, and secondly, India will not tolerate any terrorist attacks or any escalatory provocative measures by the rogue state or the terrorist state of Pakistan.
Absolutely. You mean Pakistan's military infrastructure is no match for India's. Nandita, to your question that why the understanding between India and Pakistan did not hold, how do you assess the answer given?
Yes, Moon, I did ask the question to Lieutenant General Ghai, who is the Director General of Military Operations. He said that is for the Pakistanis to answer, but he said that it takes time for any decision reached at the top or at the the top brass to trickle down to the lower formations. That was his assessment. But he also pointed out that you cannot trust Pakistan, and we are ready for another eventuality. And in case anything happens, India is ready to respond. It is not for us to say what or be responsible for the actions or the terrorist acts and the unprovoked ceasefire violations and aerial intrusions that Pakistan carries out. But the main thing is that Indian forces, the troops on the border, the BSF on the international border, the army at the LOC, and our air defense systems, our army radars, which is a very beautiful system of state-of-the-art command and control systems, batteries, and electro-optic sensors. The men behind the machines are all vigilant, and the state-of-the-art systems are in perfect condition and very, very effective and potent, very potent platforms used in this aerial confrontations and the ground battles.
Yes, Nandita, what is the sense that you are getting on what could be India's line of communication when the DGMOs talk tomorrow?
Oh, well, Moon, the DGMOs have traditionally, before these hostilities began, that is, before the terrorist attack in Pahalgam on 22nd of April, this is a routine practice that the Indian DGMO speaks to the Pakistani DGMO, usually on a Wednesday, on a hotline. Now, there have been some breaks in these talks, where, of course, when tensions have risen, for example, during the Uri attack on our Uri military base, with which we responded with our surgical strike in 2016 in September, or the Pulwama terrorist attack where we responded with the Balakot airstrike in 2019. So there have been pauses in these hotlines, but ever since the Pahalgam terrorist attack, where our 26 innocent tourists were killed in front of their families at point blank military style execution, ever since that these talks had not happened, and through our sources we came to know that the DGMO of Pakistan was trying to talk to our DGMO for the past 2 days, day before yesterday. Your question was what is going to be the line of communication. I suppose the reiteration of the message that you heard loud and clear when the three services representatives here said that it's a thumping yes, an answer to whether India has achieved its objective is a thumping yes. So it leaves no doubt in the minds of not just Indians but also Pakistanis that India is in no mood to bleed with 1,000 cuts as its stated policy, as Pakistan has stated its policy is since 1947, and for more than 75 years we've seen so many terrorist attacks from this fountainhead of terrorism, Pakistan. It is not just responsible for terrorist acts in India and in South Asia, but as you very well know, 5 of the 9/11 terrorist attack hijackers were actually trained in Pakistan. Globally, most of the terrorist attacks in the European cities and capitals, and even in America when there are mass shootings, just 2-3 years back when there was a mass shooting in California also, the people are of Pakistani origin, or they have been trained in or radicalized in Pakistani training camps. So you can just imagine that India has given a strong message to this fountainhead of terrorism that do not carry this out again. Otherwise, our Army, Navy and Air Force are all operationally ready anytime, anywhere.
Yes, Nandita, we also heard from the defense establishment on how all Indian pilots have returned home. Now, this is a clarification that has come out in as many words after days of a misinformation campaign and information warfare to mislead the world that Pakistan had launched. So, would you say that this has settled dust on all the kind of misleading statements that Pakistani state agencies, including their ministers, were giving out, sometimes even citing social media as evidence?
Forget the Pakistani misinformation, disinformation factory of cyber attacks and deep fakes and AI-generated artificial intelligence generated videos. Their defense minister Khwaja Asif is actually telling a major international channel that we have been carrying out this dirty work of terrorism for the US and UK for decades. This is what he's admitted in. And was it a Freudian slip? Was it a very candid admission? Was it a mistake? I do not know. But you just imagine the kind of language that the the Minister of Pakistan has spoken. And the disinformation, misinformation has been countered very, very beautifully by our Indian government. Not just our Ministry of Defense and Ministry of External Affairs, that is our Foreign Ministry, their Twitter handles, their websites, their social media accounts, but also departments, several departments, the various ministries, cabinet ministries and departments, state government machineries, Press Information Bureau, All India Radio and DD News, our DD News. You can just imagine yesterday DD News, whichever news, we broke the news at DD News and DD India that there's going to be another briefing at 6 p.m. yesterday after the Foreign Secretary and the two military officers spoke at the Joint Defense Ministry meeting, and we were proven correct. So you can just imagine how authentic and a verified information that DD News and DD India and we have been giving out. So we are a perfect source of information, and for not just Indians but also across the world. And certainly Pakistani media has been discredited. Its lies have been caught. The world has woken up to the Navy SEALs killing Osama bin Laden a stone's throw away from the Pakistani military academy in Abbottabad. So in 2011, so the world has, and even before that, the West knew very well how Pakistan was training, arming, abetting, sheltering, mollycoddling terrorists. All throughout the West knew that. But it's just that after 9/11 they woke up to it, and now could we have it? Could anybody have imagined in the 90s or the 2000s that the U.S. Secretary of State would come out with a statement like, we ask Pakistan to curb terrorism? That was a statement that was unheard of. So now the world is issuing statements of Pakistan to end its support to terrorism. Moon?
Yes, we'll leave it at that. Nandita, joining us from New Delhi.
Thank you, Moon.
DGMO Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai has also said that Pakistan flew drones and aircraft into our airspace all across the borders and made largely unsuccessful attempts to target numerous military infrastructure.
Operation Sindoor was conceptualized with a clear military aim to punish the perpetrators and planners of terror and to destroy their terror infrastructure. What I do not state here, of course, is the often stated determination of India and its intolerance to terror.
Addressing the media, Air Marshal A.K. Bharti said that the aim on the 7th of May was to target terrorists and their infrastructure, not any other infrastructure, especially not Pakistani civilians or military establishments. Listen in.
We carefully selected the targets, and out of the 9 selected targets, the target systems that were given to the Indian Air Force were the notorious training camps at Bhavalpur and Muridke, these being further from the international boundary. Through critical target system analysis, we analyzed what was to be done to annihilate these targets and plan to engage these targets with precision air-to-surface guided munitions so as to avoid collateral damage. On the 7th, our objective was to address these two terrorist camps, and that we did with precision. And thereafter, we maintained a robust air defense posture, because remember, our objective was to target the terrorists and terrorist infrastructure, not any other infrastructure, not the Pakistani military, not the Pakistani any other infrastructure.
In the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack, the Indian Navy's carrier battle group, surface forces, submarines and aviation assets were immediately deployed at sea with full combat readiness. That's what Vice Admiral A.N. Pramod has said in the press briefing. Listen in.
In the aftermath of the cowardly attacks on innocent tourists at Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir by Pakistani-sponsored terrorists on 22nd April, the Indian Navy's carrier battle group, surface forces, submarines, and aviation assets were immediately deployed at sea with full combat readiness in concert with the Joint Operation Plan of the Indian Defence Forces. You may be aware that we tested and refined tactics and procedures at sea during multiple weapon firings in the Arabian Sea within 96 hours of the terrorist attack. The aim was to revalidate our crew, armament, equipment, and platform readiness to deliver various ordnance on selected targets.
Time for us to take a breather at this point in time. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned to DD India. Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live with me, Munman Bhattacharya. Earlier today, taking to social media site X, Ministry of Defence wrote, and I quote, consequent to the ceasefire and airspace violations on the night of the 10th and 11th of May 2025, Chief of Army Staff General Upendra Dwivedi reviewed the security situation with the army commanders of the western borders, and General Dwivedi granted them full authority for counteraction in the kinetic domain to any violation of the understanding reached vis-a-vis the DGMO talks of the 10th of May 2025. This comes after Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a high-level meeting at his New Delhi residence. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, CDS General Anil Chauhan and chiefs of the three services were in attendance. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh inaugurated the Brahmos Aerospace Integration and Testing Facility on Sunday. The event was held in Uttar Pradesh's Lucknow city and was also attended by the Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Addressing the event via video conference, the Defence Minister said that Indian forces launched Operation Sindoor, and this was aimed at dismantling terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and never targeted their civilians.
भारतीय सेनाओं ने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर को पाकिस्तान में मौजूद आतंकी ढांचा ढहाने के उद्देश्य से लॉन्च किया था। हमने उनके आम नागरिकों को कभी निशाना नहीं बनाया था, मगर पाकिस्तान ने न केवल भारत के नागरिक इलाकों को निशाना बनाया, बल्कि मंदिर, गुरुद्वारा, गिरजाघर पर भी हमले करने का प्रयास किया। भारतीय सेना ने शौर्य और पराक्रम के साथ साथ संयम का भी परिचय देते हुए पाकिस्तान के अन्य ठिकानों पर भी प्रहार करके करारा जवाब दिया है। हमने केवल सीमा से सटे सैन्य ठिकानों पर ही नहीं कार्रवाई की, बल्कि भारत की सेनाओं की धमक उस रावलपिंडी तक सुनी गई जहां पाकिस्तानी फौज का हेडक्वार्टर मौजूद है।
Rajnath Singh also said that Brahmos facility will strengthen India's efforts towards self-reliance in the defence sector.
हमारा सपना है कि उत्तर प्रदेश दुनिया के टॉप डिफेंस प्रोडक्शन और एक्सपोर्ट डेस्टिनेशन के रूप में जाना जाए। आज जो ब्रह्मोस फैसिलिटी शुरू हो रही है, मैं समझता हूं वह यूपी डिफेंस कॉरिडोर का एक गौरव होगा। यह सिर्फ उत्तर प्रदेश का ही नहीं, बल्कि देश का सबसे बड़ा ब्रह्मोस इंटीग्रेशन एंड टेस्टिंग फैसिलिटी सेंटर है। यह रक्षा क्षेत्र में भारत की आत्मनिर्भरता के प्रयास को भी मजबूती प्रदान करेगा।
Iran on Sunday said that it had concluded the fourth round of nuclear talks with the United States, describing it as difficult but useful. The Iranian Foreign Ministry said that the talks were held to better understand each other's positions and to find reasonable and realistic ways to address the differences. Earlier, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said that Iran's right to nuclear enrichment was non-negotiable. The talks follow earlier rounds that began nearly a month ago, marking the highest level contact between the two sides since Washington withdrew in 2015 from the Iran nuclear deal during President Donald Trump's first term. Trump had cited non-compliance by Iran. US President Donald Trump hailed talks with China and Switzerland on Saturday, saying the two sides had negotiated a total reset in a friendly but constructive manner. Though he did not elaborate on the progress, earlier, top US and Chinese officials wrapped up the first day of talks in Geneva aimed at diffusing a trade war that threatens to hammer the global economy and planned to resume negotiations on Sunday. Neither side made any statements afterwards about the substance of the discussions, nor signaled any specific progress towards reducing crushing tariffs as meetings at the residence of Switzerland's ambassador to the UN. That's all in this edition of DT India Live. Do share your thoughts with us on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DT India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DT India. This is Munmun Bhattacharya from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DT India Live. Namaskar.